It is late, and the room is almost completely dark. You should be sleeping. Instead, you are holding your phone a few inches from your face, staring at a number inside your banking app. The number is higher than it was last year. You have earned more, you have saved more, perhaps you have paid off some debt. Perhaps you have finally built the emergency fund you once believed would make you feel safe. For a moment, you wait for relief. But relief does not come. Your mind moves somewhere else. A colleague has bought a larger home. A friend is traveling through Europe. Someone younger than you seems to be earning twice as much. Somewhere online, a stranger is explaining how they became financially free before the age of 35. And suddenly, your progress feels small. Nothing has been taken from your account. No bill has arrived. No disaster has occurred. Yet the feeling of security you expected is still missing. So you refresh the screen. The number remains the same. And a quiet question begins to form. Why can your bank balance rise while your sense of security stays exactly where it was? Create professional voiceovers with VB.VN. We will return to that question, because it points to something most conversations about money fail to see. This is not a video about getting rich quickly. This is not a video about finding the perfect investment. This is a video about why money can grow while peace of mind does not. We often speak about money through interest rates, returns, debt ratios, and budgets. Those numbers matter, but you do not make financial decisions inside a spreadsheet. You make them at the dinner table, during a market crash, or at 2 in the morning, when the future feels uncertain and every mistake seems permanent. Morgan Housel built the psychology of money around a simple but unsettling idea. Doing well with money is not only about what you know. It is about how you behave. And behavior does not begin with numbers. It begins with memory. It begins with what your parents feared. It begins with what your family could not afford. It begins with the first time you felt embarrassed because someone else had more. You may believe you are making a decision about money. But often, you are responding to an old emotion wearing a new disguise. Create professional voiceovers with VB.VN. You are trying to escape a feeling of powerlessness. You are trying to prove that you have succeeded. You are trying to make sure that you never return to the life you once knew. This is why intelligent people can make terrible financial decisions. Knowledge can tell you what makes sense. But fear can make the decision first. Perhaps the greatest financial question is not how much money you can earn. Perhaps it is whether you understand the person who will decide what to do with it. You may think you see money clearly. You see the price, the balance, the return, the interest rate. But you never see money as it is. You see it through everything that has happened to you. Imagine two people standing beside each other during a market crash. They are looking at the same falling prices and reading the same headlines. But they are not experiencing the same event. One grew up hearing about a family business destroyed during a recession and watched his parents whisper over unpaid bills. The other entered adulthood during years of rising markets, when every decline eventually became an opportunity. The numbers in front of them are identical. The meaning is not. One sees danger. The other sees a discount. Neither reaction came from the screen. It came from the past. Housel argues that your personal experience with money may represent only a tiny part of financial history. Yet it can shape most of what you believe about how the world works. Your view of risk feels like common sense because it was built slowly. Often without your permission. If your family struggled with debt, saving may feel like protection. If money controlled people in your home, earning more may feel like independence. If wealth brought respect, spending may become a way to feel worthy. You may call these financial choices, but they are often emotional memories translated into numbers. Economics sometimes imagines Homo economicus, the perfectly rational person who weighs every option and chooses the greatest benefit. But he has no childhood, no pride, and no memory of watching his mother remove items at a supermarket register because there was not enough money. Voice generated by VB.VN. Real people are different. You do not enter a financial decision carrying only information. You carry the years when you had too little. You carry the people you are trying to impress. You carry the life you are afraid of returning to. This is why two people can receive the same advice and make opposite decisions. And it is why both may believe they are being reasonable. You can know that markets fall and still panic when your savings decline. You can believe in long-term investing and still abandon your plan after 3 painful weeks. Harry Markowitz helped create modern portfolio theory. Yet he managed his own retirement money in a way that reduced regret rather than following a perfect mathematical model. If stocks rose, he would not feel that he had missed everything. If they fell, he would not feel that he had risked everything. Here is the part most people miss. Intelligence does not remove emotion from a decision. Sometimes intelligence only gives emotion better arguments. Fear can sound cautious. Greed can sound ambitious. Envy can sound like motivation. You may tell yourself that you are buying because the opportunity is rare. But perhaps you are afraid of watching someone else become richer without you. You may tell yourself that you are selling because conditions have changed. But perhaps you only want the discomfort to stop. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky showed that people do not experience gains and losses as equal opposites. A loss can hurt more than a similar gain feels good. Voice generated by VB.VN. So when an investment falls, the loss becomes more than a number. It becomes a question about your judgment. What if you were foolish? What if the money never returns? You may sell not because the long-term plan changed, but because the present feeling became unbearable. The decision appears to be about money. The deeper struggle is often about identity. Your personal history and your ability to sleep both matter. But there is a difference between respecting your emotions and allowing them to make every decision in secret. Before the money moves, ask what is moving inside you. What are you trying to protect? What are you trying to prove? Which past are you trying never to experience again? Sometimes an old fear enters the room, takes a seat beside you, and begins speaking in your own voice. Before we go further, take a moment to think about your own history with money. What was the first experience that shaped the way you see it? Perhaps it was watching your parents struggle. Perhaps it was earning your first paycheck. Perhaps it was losing money and realizing how quickly confidence can disappear. AI voice powered by VB.VN. You do not need to share a number. But if one memory comes to mind, you can leave it in the comments. And if you value quiet conversations about money, psychology, and the hidden forces behind your decisions, consider subscribing. Now we need to look at a different question. Why do some people become wealthy, yet fail to remain wealthy? There is a difference between becoming wealthy and remaining wealthy. The first may require confidence. The second requires humility. To become wealthy, you may need to take a risk, trust an idea, or act before the outcome is certain. But to remain wealthy, you must accept that some of your ideas will be wrong. Some years will not go according to plan. Some events will arrive without warning. Making money can reward optimism. Keeping money requires respect for uncertainty. Housel illustrates this through Grace Groner and Richard Fosconi. Groner worked as a secretary, lived simply, saved, bought shares, and allowed time to work. After her death, she left millions of dollars to charity. AI voice powered by VB.VN. Fosconi studied at Harvard and the University of Chicago and built a successful career in finance. But large homes, debt, and heavy obligations made his life dependent on favorable conditions. When the financial crisis arrived, the structure failed. The secretary accumulated lasting wealth. The financial executive went bankrupt. The lesson is not that education is useless or high income is dangerous. It is that patience, expectations, debt, ego, luck, and room for error can matter as much as intelligence. Grace Groner only needed to avoid being destroyed. Richard Fosconi only needed to be wrong once while carrying obligations too large to absorb the mistake. But it runs deeper than that. Many financial plans are built as though the future has agreed to cooperate. Income will continue, markets will recover, the family will remain healthy. Perhaps they will, but a life that works only when everything goes well is more fragile than it appears. Benjamin Graham emphasized the need for a margin of safety. The principle is simple: leave distance between what you expect and what you can survive if it does not happen. That distance may be savings, lower debt, extra time, or a lifestyle that does not collapse when income falls. A spreadsheet can show a 30% decline. It cannot show the conversation with your partner, the fear of losing your job, or whether you will still trust the plan when it begins to hurt. The best strategy may not offer the highest possible return. It may be the one you can continue following during the worst month of your financial life. If you remain in the game, time can help you. If one mistake removes you, earlier brilliance no longer matters. Jesse Livermore made a fortune during the crash of 1929. But success changed the way he saw risk. He began to act as though earlier victories made future victories more likely. The bets grew larger, restraint began to feel like fear. Create professional voiceovers with VB.VN. Livermore later lost his fortune. He had learned how to become rich, but not how to stop risking what no longer needed to be risked. Sit with that for a second. There comes a point when the pursuit of more no longer protects your life. It begins to endanger what you have already built. The ancient Greeks used the word pleonexia for the restless desire to have more. Often because someone else has more. Without a sense of enough. Every achievement becomes temporary. You reach one level of income, notice someone at the next, and move the finish line again. The finish line keeps moving because it was created by comparison. Housel noticed this while working as a valet at a hotel in Los Angeles. People admired the Ferraris, but they were rarely thinking about the owners. They were imagining themselves behind the wheel. The owner may have wanted admiration, yet the observer was using the car to imagine a different version of their own life. You can spend a great deal of money trying to purchase admiration that never truly arrives. This is where the difference between being rich and being wealthy becomes clear. Create professional voiceovers with VB.VN. Being rich is visible in the home, the clothing, the vacation, and the car, but those symbols represent money already spent. Wealth is hidden in the investment left untouched, the debt you did not take, and the upgrade you could afford but did not need. You can see the car, but not the years of freedom behind it. You can see the house, but not the mortgage or the dependence on next month's salary. The goal is not to reject comfort. It is to know whether a purchase adds value to your days or merely changes how you hope others will see you. Real wealth may be the opportunity you can decline, the year of expenses nobody notices, and the choices you have not yet been forced to surrender. Return for a moment to the dark room. The banking app is still open, and the number is still higher than it was last year. But your standard changed with it. The salary that once seemed extraordinary became normal. The savings goal that promised safety became the beginning of a larger goal. Notice what just happened. No money disappeared. Your position did not become worse. The reference point moved. Kahneman and Tversky showed that financial outcomes are felt in relation to what you had before, what you expected, or what someone else appears to have. A gain can feel satisfying at one reference point and disappointing after expectations move higher. This is why an increase in wealth does not always create an equal increase in peace. If your definition of enough grows faster than your bank account, you can become wealthier while feeling poorer. A missed opportunity can feel like a loss even when you never owned it. Someone else's gain can begin to feel like evidence of your failure. This is the answer to the question we began with. Why can your bank balance rise while your sense of security stays exactly where it was? Because security is not determined only by how much you have. It is also determined by what you believe that money must prove. If money must prove that you are more successful than someone else, it will never finish its work. There will always be another person with a larger home, another investor with a better return, another colleague with a higher salary. Text-to-speech platform by VB.VN. The target will continue moving because comparison has no natural ending. But money can be given a different purpose. It can stop being a scoreboard. It can become a tool. A tool for protecting your time. A tool for reducing dependence. A tool for preserving choices that would otherwise disappear. The ancient Greeks used the word autarkeia for self-sufficiency or inner independence. It did not mean needing no one. It meant not being completely ruled by external conditions. Financially, this may mean leaving work that destroys your health, helping family without creating a crisis, waiting through a market decline, or refusing an opportunity that would take away what you value most. The deepest value of money is not the number it allows you to display. It is the number of choices it allows you to keep. This is why control over time may be one of the highest forms of wealth. When you control none of your time, even a high income can feel like a cage. Expensive objects may own every future hour required to maintain them. But when money creates room, you can think in years. Choose work partly because it matters, and spend time with someone you love without calculating what that time has cost. This kind of wealth is difficult to photograph. No one may praise the debt you avoided, the emergency fund left untouched, or the promotion you declined to protect your family. But your life will notice. Your body, your relationships, and your future self will notice. Text-to-speech platform by VB.VN. The desire for more is not always wrong. Ambition can build useful things, and money can solve real problems. But more is valuable only when it serves a purpose you chose. Otherwise, you may sacrifice time to gain money, then spend money trying to recover the life that disappeared while you were earning it. There is a point when the next increase in income adds less to your life than the next hour of freedom. And protecting what you have becomes wiser than proving what else you can gain. Enough does not mean abandoning every dream. It means knowing which dreams are yours and telling the difference between comfort and display, security and status. When that boundary becomes clear, money begins to feel different. It no longer has to answer every insecurity. It no longer has to make strangers admire you. It can perform a quieter task. It can protect the parts of life that cannot be replaced. Your health, your attention, your relationships, your ability to choose. Perhaps wealth was never meant to make you feel superior. Perhaps it was meant to make you less afraid. Not fearless. Not untouched by uncertainty. But free enough to meet uncertainty without surrendering your entire life to it. And perhaps the richest moment is not when you realize you can buy more. Experience AI voice technology at VB.VN. It is when you realize you no longer need money to prove who you are. So what should you carry with you after all of this? The first lesson is that money is governed by behavior before it is governed by mathematics. Knowledge matters, but it cannot protect you from panic, envy, pride, or the need to prove yourself. A plan works only when you can remain calm enough to continue. The second lesson is to build a financial life you can emotionally survive. Leave room for error. Avoid obligations that require every year to be successful. The best strategy is not the one that looks most impressive on paper. It is the one you can still follow when you are afraid. And the third lesson is the quietest one. Enough is not the moment when you own everything. It is the moment when money no longer owns your decisions. It is the moment when your time, health, and attention become more valuable than the appearance of winning. So consider one question. What would enough look like if nobody else could see it? Not the car. Not the house. Not the title beside your name. What amount of freedom would allow you to sleep more peacefully, choose more carefully, and spend your days on what matters before those days are gone? Your answer may not impress anyone. That is precisely why it may be honest. Experience AI voice technology at VB.VN. If this conversation helped you see money differently, consider subscribing. This channel is a place for quiet ideas about psychology, philosophy, and the forces that shape your choices before you realize a choice is being made. Because perhaps the goal was never to make money prove that you had won. Perhaps it was to build a life in which you no longer needed to compete.